Hello, Hamilton from If Hamilton and Jefferson Were Friends. Today, we'll be talking about the events that led up to the Civil War. But Jefferson fell under the weather today, so I had to find a replacement. Where are you? Ah, here you are. Here's my makeup Jefferson. Okay, so, this is about the events that led up to the Civil War. So, first let's talk about the cotton gin. Okay, so this was when Eli Whitney, a northerner, was visiting Nathaniel Greene, an American Revolutionary War general, in 1793. And he recognized that cotton was a laborious process. So he came up with a basic engine, or a gin, to do it. But because of that, can I share the statistics, Jefferson?
Slave people growth where cotton was 900,000 in 1800s and 2.5 million in 1840, and it grew to 4 million in 1860. What a staggering growth!
I know, right? And even in 1860, 1 in 8 Americans were enslaved. I mean, they weren't Americans because they didn't have any rights, but still. Next, we're going to talk about, and this really angered the Northerners because they got so much more representation because of the 3/5 compromise. So, what is happening now? There's so much more. Now, let's talk about the Missouri Compromise. So, by 1830, Congress had passes a rule saying that slavery cannot be mentioned by Congress documents, as Missouri applied for to join the Union as a slave state. But there would be no more slave states than free states, so the balance would be ruined. So the Missouri Compromise said that
for years, Maine wanted to wanted to separate from Massachusetts, and so Missouri and Maine would enter the Union together. Hey, by the way, did you park your car?
I did park my car. Okay. And this established the Missouri Compromise line, saying that no slavery would be permitted north of 36 degrees latitude, 30 degrees longitude. So, slave, not slave. While the Missouri Compromise temporarily barred the expansion of slavery, there was still no long-term solution. This helps jack up the tension about slavery. Next, we have the Compromise of 1850, where
California is admitted as a free state.
Go California!
But the state was far, far away, not far, far away.
It's up to popular sovereignty. The territories of Utah and Mexico could choose whether to be slave states or free states. The Texas-New Mexico boundary was defined, and the Fugitive Slave Act required Northerners to bring slaves back to their owners in the South, and if they didn't, then they could be fined or even jailed. Next, we come to the topic of manifest destiny. This was the idea that all white Americans were divinely ordained to settle the entire continent of North America. What rubbish. The Northerners feel cheated when the Southerners break the relation, and tensions that had existed just get worse. Next, we have 1852, where the book Uncle Tom's Cabin is published. This exposes the horror of slavery, and it becomes, in Jefferson's hometown, a banned book in the South.
Called propaganda.
He's brainwashed. Bleeding Kansas was also there in 1853. Do you want to explain more about it?
Well, do you want me to talk about the past or the past?
Past. Please.
Okay, let me talk to you about the past of transcendental railroads. Southerners want to build a railroad.
Transcontinental. You got to pronounce right.
Transcontinental of the past in the land far, far away. The Southerners wanted to build a railroad from Louisiana to California. Not California. Scary. Because if the Southerners got California, cotton would get exported from both the seas, expanding the slave market. Or market. Power of slavery would become immense. And Northerners wanted to build it from Chicago to California.
And because...
And who won?
Well, of course Northerners won, because California later became a free state. Go California! But Bleeding Kansas won its nickname because of the huge violence that occurred when it was voting to be a slave state or a free state. because people have voted illegally by crossing the border into Kansas to sway the vote. What treachery! A Missouri for the South and Illinois for the North. Both of those people came in. And John Brown became infamous for his ideology and violence. Next, in 1857, we have Dred Scott. Dred Scott versus Sanford. Would you like to explain more?
Dred Scott, a slave, was brought into a free state. Master died. The master died on the way back from Missouri. Scott sues for his freedom. And Marshall says this is an unconstitutional when...
Justice Marshall, you have to say?
Justice Marshall?
Yes.
Or Attorney Marshall?
Justice, because he's a
Justice Marshall says this is unconstitutional. And Scott says he has his own freedom because of the Missouri Compromise. And so Scott...
He lost that.
He lost it.
But... Next we come to John Brown and his ideology. He was like a Pied Piper to the enslaved. Do you know what Pied Piper means? Or you just that...
Was that the guy with Peter Pan?
Stupid. No. It's a
Was it
fairy
the guy
tale. It's a fairy
with
tale.
the mice?
Yes. In Hamburg, Germany, where he lured kids and killed them all. Yes. Like, tries to take enslaved people down south and destroy slavery from the inside. But he failed, and he was put on trial for treason, and he gets hanged. Even though he failed, the South is afraid that someone else will follow in Brown's footsteps. So they start militias. And these militias are the backbones for the Confederate Army. Next, we have the election of 1860. Lincoln...
1600.
1860.
It says 1600.
1860. Can you read?
Okay.
Lincoln gains a huge electoral following, despite less than majority popular votes. After Lincoln wins the election, many southern states seceded because they were afraid that they would lose representation because of their opposing of Lincoln's views. This led to the attack of Fort Sumter, which started the Civil War. Well, this was all for today with if Hamilton and Jefferson were friends, but we start to gain some more arguments. But this is my fill-in.
But with the final piece being they won the war in the land far, far away, but I gotta go park my car.
Okay, bye.
Peace out.